On our web chats here at the BYU Broadcast Building, we just spoke with Michael Miner, the senior coordinating producer here at BYUtv, and now we are pleased to have BYU Athletic Director Tom Holmoe with us. Tom, thanks for taking some time with us.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's an exciting day with a lot ahead of us today.
Let's get right to it. You have put together a very impressive schedule for the 2013 season. So many glaring names on that schedule. How are you able to do that in just year 3 of independence?
Well, glaring names, you make it scary. I guess maybe I should be a little bit more nervous than I am. I think that we've been working on this schedule for the past couple years. We kind of articulated what we would be able to do in the first 2 years, but said that 3rd, 4th, and 5th year would get a little bit easier, and it has been easier. We have a real good slate ahead of us, and I'm just grateful for the help we've had from ESPN, Dave Brown, who we worked with, Elon Ben-Hanan. The people that we've worked with have helped us put together what I know our fans will love as a schedule.
So much excitement about the schedule, particularly when you look at November. Games at Camp Randall, Wisconsin, at Notre Dame, and then at Nevada. That is much different than previous years. How hard was it to put that November in place?
November is tough because the teams that are in conferences are in the midst of conference battles. Championships are on the line, and they don't really want to go out of their schedule and play, let alone BYU. BYU, not so much that we're a deep threat to every one of those teams, but we're scary. We can beat anybody on any given day. And I think that these teams are teams that are traditionally really strong, and they're not going to be afraid of us. I think Nevada, they've beaten us the last 2 times, and they're going, come on, bring it on, let's go.
Certainly a good challenge again for BYU.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, the 2013 schedule you just saw, but while I have you here, I'm going to ask you about how things are developing for 2014 and 2015. How are things shaping up?
They're going well. When we finished 15, we finished 13, Bronco said, are you sure? Are you sure that's where we want to go? I'm just kidding, but we, 14 and 15, we have really good games. They're going to be good schedules, but they might not be as thick as they are here. But they're really shaping up, and one of the things that's interesting for me, and I say interesting, is that these schedules are changing all the time. We will commit to a game with a team, and maybe 6 months later, we're out. So like in 14, we basically have had our schedule done for a little while, but we haven't announced it because we're looking to change a couple games. Because if we can make it better, in one case, we'll probably downgrade because we have to. Because it's kind of like trades. If we can do something in 14, it'll make it better in 15 and 16, we're going to do that. So I'll try to explain that in 2 or 3 media days from today.
That's a fair answer.
Okay.
I think a lot of people might assume that it's just as easy as you calling up an athletic director at another school and saying, hey, you want to play? How about this date? Okay, cool, let's make the contract happen. I'm sure it's not that easy. How complicated of a process is it?
Well, give it a try. I'll tell you what, it's not really complicated. It's really pretty straightforward. It just takes a lot of time. I think a lot of these contracts are sensitive, and every team wants to put together a real good contract. But it starts with the premise they're looking out for their best interest. So there's some teams that are really, really good teams. They're not afraid of us, but it might not fit into their schedule. Yeah. So we try to massage it into a given year. One of the things that's been helpful is we'll talk with a team and try to get them in 14 or 15, and we might talk for months, and they think about moving a game to make it happen for us, and then they don't. But because of that relationship, we say, okay, let's just play in 17 or 18. Okay, and then it's done. So a lot of effort might be put into 14, and it pays off down the line.
You jump through a lot of hoops to make things exciting for BYU football, and I, for one, am very appreciative, and I know the fan base is as well.
Thank you.
We're going to go to social media right now. We have some fans chiming in with some questions. This comes from Troy Russell. Why have no games been scheduled with Army, Navy, or Air Force? And is BYU trying to get Hawaii back on the schedule?
All right, let's start with the military academies first. We actually had a series contracted with Army. Their athletic director at the time, Kevin Anderson, was a really good friend of mine from the 49ers and from Stanford. and from Cal. We worked at all three places, crazy. But he called me up and asked me if he could get out of the game. And it's good to have good friends in the business. So I let him out. Now he is the athletic director at the University of Maryland now. So he owes me a game. And somewhere down the road, we'll play Maryland or wherever he is as the AD. But we really want those military games. We'd love to play Navy and or Air Force also. And we have an open invitation to all three of those schools when they can fit it in to come play us. You have to understand that Army, Navy, and Air Force play each other, and they play Notre Dame, and they play other big schools. Those schools can play just about anybody. They're independents or have been, not Air Force, but they're basically working with the same kind of scheduling as us. So it's not real easy for Air Force to be in a conference, play Notre Dame and other big schools, and big games for them are Navy and Army, and then slide in BYU. We were fortunate to play them when we were in the conference, but it's tougher to get them on the schedule right now, but anytime we'll play them. And who is the other school you want to know
Hawaii.
about? Oh, Hawaii. We had a 10-year schedule with Hawaii, and there was a change in the coaching and in the athletic director, and for the best interest of both schools, we decided to call off the whole series, but we'll get them back on the schedule within 10 years. It might not be a 10-year contract, but BYU and Hawaii want to play each other, but just some technicalities and some really particular issues was in their best interest to call it off.
I know that those rivalries are long-standing, and you're very well aware of them, as we just heard.
And we'll continue that one.
All right. BYU's won a program best 4 straight bowl games, including the Poinsettia Bowl in very dramatic fashion last year down in San Diego. What future bowl tie-ins are you working with as the program moves forward?
There's a lot of new bowl games out there, and some that are looking to be established. Some of them could be really, really good games. We'd more like to look at them and see where we're going to go, so we are talking with some of those teams, but we're also looking at some of the established games that we've played in. We've played in some bowls across the country. You'll be familiar with who they are until we name them. I never like to name something until it's contracted. But I think it's important, and we've learned that most of the time it's best to play in the West, so that the majority of our fans are in the West and they can get to the games. When we played in Las Vegas, we had big crowds. When we played in San Diego, we had big crowds. There are some bowls in the West that we're working with. But it's also important, I think, sometimes to get to other locations in the country and be able to play in new places against new conference opponents. When you play in the West, it's usually against similar opponents that you may have in the past. The great tradition of BYU is we've been able to play so many teams in so many different bowls, and now all the bowls are kind of conference tied in. And since we're independent, that just makes it a challenge, but we will sign up a bunch of bowls in the near future.
Well, you have a tie-in with the Kraft Fight Hunger Bowl in San Francisco. That's played where the San Francisco Giants played, so a very unique, dynamic setup there. And it's with the Pac-12, potentially a rematch with Utah in a bowl game. How do you feel about something like that?
I feel great about that. I mean, it's San Francisco. That's my home. I look forward to going back there, but this isn't about me. It's about our fans. We have a lot of fans in the Bay Area, and people will come from Southern California and the Pacific Northwest and in the Intermountain area to come to a game like that. It certainly depends on who we play and how well we've done in this season. Obviously, we have to be bowl eligible to play in that game, but right now, if you look at the possibilities, makes me excited already, and it's still July.
I like that body language right there. That's exciting. We're going to go back to social media now. This question comes from Kyle. Will we be looking at the all-black uniforms for a game this year?
Was that Kyle Van Noy?
It was not Kyle Van Noy.
No, we're not going to play in those black uniforms this year, but we will bring them back in future. I think that I'll have to come clean. I really wasn't very excited. I didn't think they were going to be a success. I didn't think they would go over as well as they did. But I can be wrong. And I stand corrected. They were a huge hit. So we're definitely going to bring them back. And things have changed. I mean, we look at the tradition of the Royals, and we brought those back, and we'll bring those back again. And we look at the tradition of our Navies which those are what we wear. We'll have a combination of those throughout the incoming years, and this is a generation IY, where the younger folks, they like changes, they like new things. And really across the country, and the world for that matter, in sports, alternate jerseys seem to be the going thing. Now, I'm not really into fads, but I think this is here to stay.
Well, when I see you in a black uniform, I'll be on the lookout.
I won't be in a black uniform, but I might wear a black sport coat that night.
Very good, very good. Okay, back to the bowl game playoff discussion. There are major changes happening in the landscape of college football. Where BYU stands currently, do you like their chances compared to other teams to crack into that 4-team playoff?
I believe in our football program, our coach, our coaching staff, and our players, and the tradition of the program. Tradition goes a long way. But the bottom line is, you just got to be really good. If you're an independent and you're really good, you're going to get in. If you're in the Mountain West Conference or the Pac-12 or the SEC, if you're really good, you're going to get in.
Yeah.
So I think that people are spending too much time looking at the access points and not enough time saying, let's just put together a great team that no matter where you are, people are going to go, put them in. Now that asks a lot. I think we can do that as an independent, because if we are really good on a given year and win all our games, or maybe 11 or the games, and we have a really, really tough schedule, people respect that. They'll respect our tradition. It'll mean we have really superstar players that year, and that's kind of been a great formula for the past for us.
All right, we have time for one more question really quickly. What would be a successful season this year, given the schedule that we saw just a few minutes ago? Are you looking at maybe a 10-win season, an 11-win season? Everyone wants to win every game, but what would you feel like would be a successful season?
I don't really think it's fair, nor would I want to put a win number, a number of games on a successful season. I think that with a transition in our coaching staff, a new quarterback, a new kind of offensive line that we're going to refold, a really good defensive unit coming back for the most part, that in a tough schedule, my goal and the things that I talk to Bronco about on a regular basis is improvement.
Yeah.
I want momentum. I want to see that upswing. I want to be able to make sure that our fans feel that, hey, this is it. This is Cougar football. I don't really know how many wins that could be. We could, if we win close games and win a lot, people are going to really care. But we could lose a couple games to really good teams, as long as we don't lose them in a poor manner.
Yeah.
Then I don't know how that's going to play out. All I know is that we got to be ready to play. We've got the pieces in place to have success, but every game is a new story, and that's what we're really preparing for right now.
Always great insight from BYU Athletic Director Tom Holmoe. We appreciate your time and the inside track on what's happening with the BYU football program.